Hello YouTube, and welcome to another computing video featuring this tiny PC, which is actually an AMD Athlon. As promised in my previous video, I mentioned I would do some graphics card benchmarking, and I've got a couple of graphics cards I can try in this. The included GeForce MX440 and an ATI A9250 something. But I thought that the first thing to do was to test the internal graphics. So I removed the GeForce MX440 and installed the drivers for the S3 Graphics Pro Savage DDR, which, as you can see, is running at 640 by 480, and it has approximately 31 megabytes of memory. So I'm using the 3D Mark 99 Max Pro provided by Phil's Computer Lab. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. And I'm just using the default settings for the S3 graphics, 800 by 600 16-bit color. I'll start the benchmark and we'll take a look at the results when it's completed. So the S3 has come out with 4341 3D marks and 28426 CPU 3D marks. So the next candidate is going to be the GeForce 4 MX440. The GeForce MX440 was a very popular card used by PC OEMs. It replaced the GeForce 2 in many circumstances, and it is not a cut down version of the GeForce 4 Ti, and there was a lot of controversy about this card because it was less powerful than a GeForce 3 in some regards. It was missing certain things, but it was a lot better than the GeForce 2 that it was designed to replace as an entry-level graphics card. I'm not expecting earth-shattering performance from this card, but for 3D Mark 99, and this card came out around 2002-ish, it should be a pretty good card for games of that era, you know, turn of the century and the likes. So, you know, for Half-Life and Deus Ex maybe should run pretty well. This is the card that came in the computer as I got it. Some of the stickers are starting to peel off, I think, due to heat. We can take a look at what it says on some of them. It's just to confirm it's the MX440. I don't know what the original brand name is. It's only marked with this 8895V1, and there's no fan, which is nice. It should be silent. As you can probably tell, the PC itself is quite noisy. I've had to turn the case fan off because the bearings are going in it, I think, and it was just interfering and really winding me up. So I'm going to stick this in and then we'll run the benchmark. Okay, so I've cheated a little bit and skipped the whole driver installation process, and we're just going to launch 3D Mark 99 now and start the benchmark on this graphics card. I'll just nip into DXDiag and just double check the specification. So this is a 64 megabyte card. It's a GeForce 4 MX 440. Let's get cracking. The same specification, 800 by 600 16-bit color. I'm going to let this one run a little minute because the S3 card, it was really choppy during the first two game tests. You can see this one's averaging about 60 frames per second. The other one was about 35-40, highs of about 50 frames per second. But this is holding a steady 60 frames per second average, which is all you need, really. Again, this one's touching 60 frames, dipped a little bit there, but for the most part it would look very playable. So a little low there. Okay, I'll let the rest of the tests run because they are quite boring, and I'll get back to you when it's done with the score. So the GeForce MX440 has finished. It's got 6049 3D marks and 29040 CPU 3D marks. So that's up by around 2300-ish on graphics and almost 500 CPU marks. So a marked improvement, not a brilliant improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. Let's move along to the next card. So here's the ASUS branded ATI A9250 graphics card. This one I think has got 128 megabytes of RAM, just based off of the model number there, if it will focus. There we go. I don't think I've ever used this card. I think I might have pulled it out of another salvaged computer and decided to keep it for a spare or a backup. I managed to find some Windows 98 drivers on the ASUS website. They are marked as beta, but I'm going to install them on Windows 98 and see what it benchmarks at. Here I'm just going to run through the setup program. I never bothered to uninstall the NVIDIA drivers or the S3 drivers from previous runs. I know in an ideal world I should really do that for a fair test, but really what's running when the card's not plugged in, I don't know. But hey ho, hopefully this will finish within a few moments, and then I'll get it restarted and straight back into the benchmark. Okay, so we've restarted. It seems to have dropped itself into, yes, as I suspected, 256 colour mode. I'll pop it back to 16-bit high colour and crank it back up to 800 by 600. And it wants me to restart, so here we go again. Okay, after the reboot, I've just popped into DXDiag, and just to confirm, it is an ASUS A9250, which is actually a Radeon 9200 Pro AGP Rev 1, and it does have 128 megabytes of RAM. I know it says 127 there, but I'm telling you, it's 128. We'll get started with the 3D mark. Now it's interesting to note that all these cards have got different levels of DirectX support. This 3D mark needs 6 as a minimum. I think the onboard was 6, the MX440 was 7, and I think this is a DirectX 8 card. But it's only benchmarking against DirectX 6 functions. Again, we'll do the 800 by 600 and let's go. Marked improvement, 75 frames per second on this card. It is probably about 18 months newer than the MX440. We'll just see what it plays like on the first person shooter style game, and then I'll let it complete and we'll have a look at the scores at the end. So yes, 75 almost steady at, so this is probably the card to keep, but I feel that this card may be better off in a slightly better machine that I've got prepared for an upcoming video. It is another trash rescue PC, so stay tuned for that. So the ATI card, I say ATI, I keep saying ATI, I mean ASUS. The ASUS card, which is the ATI Radeon, has come out at 7268 3D marks and 28705 CPU marks, which is 1200-ish or so higher than the 440 on the graphics, but is actually 300 or 400 lower on the CPU. So maybe there was merit in removing all the other stuff from the previous drivers. I doubt it, but I'm not going to run the test again. I'm just going to know that the card that it came with has scored 6049, the GeForce MX 440, and that's the card I'm going to keep in it. As I mentioned perhaps in the last clip, I do have another slightly newer machine than this one, but still old enough to not run anything recent, where this ATI card may be a little bit more suited. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to stop the video here and call it. So thanks for watching. If you've got a comment or have a question, please leave it below and subscribe for future updates. Thank you.